Ford, welcome.
Thanks, Bill. Good to see you again.
By all means, pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
So Ford, you've been a well-established career coach for years, but you more recently decided to become a certified retirement coach. Tell me about why you did that and why you've committed yourself to that path.
Okay, good question. Well, as you said, I've been a career coach for many, many years. But in the last several years, I noticed a trend happening. People were wanting to come in and talk about retirement planning almost as much as they wanted to talk about their career planning. And so I started asking the question, why is this? How come this is happening all of a sudden? And I thought there might be several possibilities. Is it that I'm getting older, so I'm just attracting an older demographic of client? Is it because there's a little bit more education and awareness in the marketplace, so people are starting to ask questions about retirement that they might not have thought about before? Is it because with the growing stock market, people have a little bit more money, they have more complex questions to ask about retirement, they have other options to consider? So I didn't really know what the answer was, but intuitively, I thought it was probably a combination of these factors. But one way or another, I saw a need, and I wanted to fulfill that need. And I think there's really a market out there for people who need help to navigate through the complex questions of retirement planning.
So when you talk about retirement planning, you're not talking about financial planning, you're talking about the life aspect of
That's
retirement
right.
planning.
In fact, I would say that a retirement coach specializes in everything except the financial side of retirement. When financial questions come up, of course, I will refer them on to an expert, whether it's a financial planner, an insurance expert. I can answer some very fundamental questions, but it's really not the role of a retirement coach to give financial advice.
I know you recently published and shared with me an article you wrote about this subject, and you listed quite a bibliography of articles and books.
Yeah.
And I know you will know well enough to know you read them all.
I've read them all. In fact, I just got another book yesterday, which I'm very excited to delve into. But the article I wrote, which is titled Retirement, A Natural Evolution of Career Development, see, that's kind of a theme that I'm following. Let me put it this way. I've been a career coach, as you know, for more than 25 years. I've also been a certified executive coach, and now moving more into the field of retirement coaching. And so the way I look at it, career coaching is about direction. Executive coaching is about performance. Retirement coaching is about legacy. And so I've developed what I call full life cycle coaching. A person can start with me early in their career, finish up as they're planning and entering into retirement, and that's what I mean by full life cycle coaching.
We've talked a little bit about the personal aspects about this. What about the business aspects? Did you see that there was an opportunity here for you to do well by doing good?
Well, that's a good question. Of course. Look, I think it's common sense that there's a need for retirement coaching. People have always had access to financial advice, but they haven't had access really to the other questions that come up and surround the retirement issue. And there's also a great demographic shift in the United States. Let's face it, we have an aging population. It's what some people call the graying of America. And so as people are older and many, many more people are retiring, for example, over the next 10 years, there will be 10,000 baby boomers retiring every day, or if not retiring, at least heading into retirement.
Turning 65.
Turning 65.
Yes.
And most of them will be heading into retirement.
And most of them haven't planned.
That's
and
right.
Most of them, many of them, haven't had careers that were fulfilling, and so they're looking to finally get to that point when either they have to leave or they can leave to get away from something. But I know you talk about wanting to retire to something.
Exactly right. The bad news is that there's still a terrible lack of understanding and awareness about the larger issues surrounding retirement. In other words, people have typically asked one basic question, which is, do I have enough money to retire? Well, that's an important consideration, but it's not the only consideration.
And that's not an easy question to answer.
No, it's not. That in itself is very complex. But then you add in all the other layers, the kinds of subjects that retirement coaches deal with, Let me just give you a very short list of a couple factors that people should consider as they're heading into retirement. There's the replacement of work identity. There is health and wellness, passions and interests, family connections, lifestyle and relocation, relationships and community, leisure, personal development, spiritual practice, purpose and meaning. These are the kinds of conversations we get into with retirement clients. Some of them feel a little bit overwhelmed at the beginning when they start to talk about these subjects, but very quickly what happens is their mind opens up to the possibilities, and they begin to create a vision of where they want their retirement to go. So instead of feeling stuck, instead of not even knowing what questions to ask, now suddenly they're having a productive conversation that can really lead them to a better place.
A lot of the people that are really good at managing portfolios and helping clients with financial planning aren't really very good at having these kinds of conversations.
No, they're not. And to your point, I've been lucky to begin collaborating, having almost like referral or cooperative relationships with estate attorneys, financial planners, insurance experts. There's a need for this, and they know it. The smart person in the niches that you just mentioned, they might recognize that this is really not their specialty, and they need someone like me or perhaps another retirement coach that they can refer to help their clients achieve their goals. There's also another big shift in American demographics, which is that people are living a lot longer. So it's not just more people turning 65. It's also the fact that people are going to be living 10, 20, 30 or more years in retirement. Retirement used to either be a non-concept, like our grandfather's day or our father's day. It was either a concept that was never talked about, or it was a short experience that lasted a year or two until the person passed away. Now you're looking at 20, 30 years. There have been advancements in healthcare, advancements in technology. That's only going to continue to expand. So what's the person going to do for 35, 40 years? Are they just going to hope to fill their time watching television? Or are they going to have a retirement of meaning and purpose? Is it going to be a rich phase of their life, or is it going to be an ending? As you said earlier, are people going to retire from something, or are they going to retire to something that could be truly meaningful?
So do you see people doing anything about this, or are they just talking about it?
Well, it's a mixture. It's a growing awareness. There's still a lot of work to be done, but I absolutely see changes for the better. Yes, people are taking action, they're getting help, they're asking better questions, they're getting more support, and it's really beginning to be a better, healthier picture for retired people.
What makes you so confident that you're the right guy for people to talk to? I mean, why you and why not somebody else?
Okay, that's a fair question. First of all, as I mentioned, I've been a coach now for more than 25 years. Career coaching, executive coaching, now in the field of retirement coaching. I'm able to take those same skills that I've developed and refined and apply them into the retirement space. So that's important. As you know, and as you mentioned earlier, I take this very seriously. I've read just about every book in the marketplace. I've written 2 articles already on the subject, which have been published. In addition, I went through the premier training and certification program in retirement coaching, which was pretty rigorous. It was not a walk in the park.
I'm familiar with it.
So it was a good experience, and I learned an awful lot. So these are some of the reasons. I think it's this seamless integration of the career coaching to the retirement coaching, because I see retirement as the next logical step in a person's evolution. See, people are divided up, I think, into 3 major phases, if you want to really break it down and make it simple. Number 1, there's the youth and education phase of your life. Then there's the career and work phase of your life. And now we're moving into the retirement phase of your life. I see it as a seamless process. People need to look at retirement not as a one-time event, but as an evolutionary process. As we both agree, this is a very serious time of life, something that needs forethought, it needs planning. You can't just stop your life and hope to fill the next 30 years of your time. This is something that I think in today's world, as we said, it really needs forethought, planning, and I think people will do better if they have a guide to help them through the planning, the navigation of this phase of their life.
Help us understand what the process is like. If somebody contacts you and you speak with them and they decide they want to retain you, tell me what that looks like.
Okay, the program I offer is flexible depending on the client's specific needs. Think of it as a three-phase process. People can take advantage of one phase. They can do phases 1 and 2, or they could do phases 1, 2, and 3. It's flexible. So in phase 1, which lasts 1 month, what we do is we do retirement assessments. These are actual tests or forms that you fill out online, and they're very robust, they're very comprehensive. It gives us evidence, it gives us empirical proof of what the core issues are in a particular individual. So we interpret those results, then we ask important questions, go through a couple of preliminary exercises, get the client moving in the right direction, and that's phase 1. Phase 2, if the client wants to continue, is where we delve deeper, really getting into more finite plans, moving toward a more fully developed vision for retirement, even starting implementation and giving some accountability and support in getting their retirement going, getting some traction on the road, in other words. Phase 3 will be the phase where people can have continuing support and accountability, continuing structure with ongoing coaching, ongoing support and accountability, as I said before. Of course, we would need to adjust and adapt as needed as time goes by to keep the person on track and to make their retirement vision into their retirement reality.
Is there anything else that you'd like to share about this big subject, this important subject?
Sure. I would just say this. With the way the world has changed, the way aging has changed, the way work and retirement has changed, the whole subject of retirement has gotten more complex. It's much more complicated than it was in the days of our fathers or grandfathers, or grandparents. And so, like I said before, up until now, people have only known to ask one question: do I have enough money to retire? But there's so much more to it. So I would ask people to be open-minded and to think about all the different layers, the different aspects of retirement, and they should understand that help is available if they need support in navigating through those changes.
Ward, it's been terrific having you
Thanks,
on Live
Bill.
Better Longer. Thank you
Thanks.
very much.
Thanks for
coming.
having me.